welcome to my final chat tech video. This will be a demonstration for my project called Chat Bank. It's a banking app that allows people to create new accounts, withdraw money, deposit money, update their profile, and then from the admin side, select information about the customer, update information about the customer, add or delete the customers. So yeah, let's get into it. So before heading into the program itself, we're going to talk a little bit about the planning. And this is all the business objects that I needed. Account, obviously. Each customer will have its own account, and it'll have a few properties and a balance. The account list will be the business object for storing arrays and lists of accounts. That way we don't do that inside the account business object, and we don't have to do that every time, but we use the account list for that. And it will generate an array called ACR, and we'll use that to collect all the account information later on in the forms. And last but not least, the customer. It'll inherit from a person object, and it'll also contain the address object, which in this case I called Addy. And yeah, looking at the forms though, we're gonna have a login page, and from that login page we'll go into the admin. If you sign into the admin, instead of having two different separate login forms, we'll just have the one. And then if they do have the correct username and password for the customer, it'll obviously send them to customer home. Now I could have had multiple forms for each one of these functions, which is to create a new account, deposit, and withdrawal, but I chose instead to have them all in one form, but instead hide them and only display them once the user clicks on one of these options. And then if they want to confirm completing that task or completing that function, they can hit the confirm button, and that will make the methods run. But before that, the account information will be displayed, the account information being tied to the customer. So each one of the customer's accounts will be displayed on its own. And last but not least, the customer profile form. So we'll have the same properties as the customer will be displayed, and will allow the customer to update their profile. So yeah, this is what I had in mind, and this is how it turned out. So if we run the app, and we would like to sign in as a customer, let's choose 3001. We can choose any one of these, but let's go with 3001. Enter 1234. We should be able to sign in. Alright, and then you have that customer's account. So if we look at the ID 3001, there's 1, 2, and 3. Savings account, and checking account. So save, check. That's how you know we're in the right spot. Now if we want to add a new account, give it a type. Let's give it MMA, create new account, and there you go. The new account pops up. If we refresh the database, it shows up. Now we can deposit or withdraw from this account just by selecting. Now the cool thing about my program is that I made it so that the person doesn't have to manually type in the account. The program is able to collect the account data and display it right here. It makes it easier for the customer to do what they need to do. And then they can deposit any amount of money, even up to $10,000. And there you go, it shows up, and they can withdraw from that account or a different account. Let's go with a different account and withdraw 200. Nope, $200. And there you go. Moving on to the profile. for that customer. And let's say we wanted to change the state, because Denver is not in Georgia, it's actually in Colorado. Let's go ahead and click update, data updated, and there it is. The change has been made. So that's all for that. And then we can log out and go to admin now. Type in the admin information, log in, and let's say we want to choose 3010, and we select them. Their information pops up. We can change their zip code, we can change any one of these, we can even reset their password. Let's go ahead and reset their password to something else. Using that button, it automatically resets the password to something different. And let's say we want to change the zip code to 500. Again, we can do that. There we go. And let's say we want to add a new or delete a customer. We can just hit delete. And they're gone. And then if we want to add them back, then they pop up, and with a new password too. So yeah, that's it. Now the program is fully functional and it's great. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about how it works. Now there are four forms in total. The first one being the login form, as you can see. Obviously, if the person doesn't type in the correct password, it'll tell them you have typed in the incorrect password, and it's all based on the database information. And you know, it's simple enough. How it works is that there's a static string that gives the information to the rest of the forms, which is which customer has been selected. So once you select from that information box, once you type in your ID, it sends that information out to all the other forms. Then you move on to the customer form, and this is where all the information is displayed. I really enjoyed building this one. It's very interesting and allowed for me to be really creative, especially here, where it collects the account list and then assigns them to a string array and then displays it to the label. Now, before, I had this issue where I would have multiple labels to display all the information, but I figured out a way to have one label and still have multiple accounts being displayed. And once you do add a new account, this method right here will generate that new account by counting all the accounts and then adding +1 to that, which is great. It's really cool. But yeah, that's the forms. There are a couple more forms I could discuss, but these were the important ones. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about admin for a little bit. But you know, it's pretty much standard, you know. It's your standard select, update, add, delete. What I really want to talk about though is the account business object, and how I got that to work, which was fairly interesting. The display methods that I had before were all displaying to the to console, to the debug.writeline, which is, you know, it's cool and all, but you need information to be displayed back to your user. And so I had to create new methods that would return those values as strings and then display them in the form. So it's not something that you're told but it's kind of something you have to figure out, that okay, this is the problem that I have and this is how I'm going to fix it and this is how I'm going to display that information. Same with the customer. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, so basically same thing here, except it's display customer, right? And you get the accounts, and that account get accounts method is embedded within the select DB. So then once you select the customer, you also select all the accounts that match that customer ID, which is cool. Then you have the account all used for, like I mentioned before, and it inherits from, the customer inherits from the person object, which makes it easier to find like issues so that you know it's not within those properties. And then it's also an address object is contained within that, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I have some comments, all that stuff, lots of comment blocks, and yeah, well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.